I heard you say that West Palm Beach is not alone. There's homeless problems in cities across the country. Who's doing it right?
I wish I could say. I have been to several conferences throughout the country. There are breakout sessions. I'm always going to the ones that talk about homelessness. And I've yet to identify a community that's got it perfect. Los Angeles is spending billions of dollars to address the homeless situation. New York as well. Chicago, the major cities are all grappling with this perplexing problem. Now, the scope of the problem doesn't discourage me from attempting to find a solution, but it's a very perplexing problem. For every phone call that I get complaining about the homeless, whether it's outside of my business and I go into my office and there's bad stuff, defecation, whatever, outside my door, I get an equal number of phone calls and emails from folks saying you need to be more empathetic to the homeless. We need to feed more of the homeless. We need to house more of the homeless. So there is a balance that I am trying to strike as mayor to provide a quality of life that everyone in the city can enjoy. The young mother who wants to walk her baby carriage along Flagler Drive early in the morning or even in the evening, to the joggers out there, and then recognize that the homeless are people as well. So it is a balance that we have to strike, and I think we're doing the best we can. Since I have been mayor, we've had about 600 people that we have rehoused, close to 117 people a year, all right? We have, when I came on as mayor, we had one person in what we call our homeless outreach team. These are the people who actually go out to where the homeless are and interact with them. There was only one person. We now have 10 full-time employees. Their job is to go out to different parts of the city where the homeless are located to interact with them, because people are homeless for different reasons. Because whether it's substance abuse, whether it's mental health issues, alcoholism, or it could be an economic dislocation. They got laid off a job or whatever. But you can't match them with the appropriate resources until you know their story. I've got 10 people who are going out doing that. As a result of that, in the years I've been in office, 600 people we have actually rehoused. Close to 400 people we have matched with their relatives. We have what's called a homeless bound program, where at our expense, we will buy them a one-way ticket. Once we contact family members in other parts of the country who are willing to take this person back, we will purchase them a one-way ticket to get back there. And so we reunited almost 400 homeless people with their families. We're continuing to look for ways to address the homeless situation in an empathetic manner, but also understanding that we've got a quality of life here that we have to balance.
Where is this on your priority list?
It's, I say 1B. 1A is the affordability of housing, all right? And I'm proud of our record there. We've gotten, in my first term, we got over 600 units of affordable housing online. I just recently announced a goal of my next 4 years, my last term in office, to get another 800. So the affordability of housing, because if we don't have places for the school teachers, our central employees, school teachers, nurses, even the folks who serve us in the restaurants, even the administrative assistants who work here in City Hall. If we can't find a place for them to live near their jobs, then we're no longer going to be able to attract these businesses here that we're looking to attract. But related to that is the homeless situation. Now, there are a couple of impediments, all right? We talk about the balance, and I'm sensitive to the business community. I see Clematis Street as our main street. And so I hear complaints from business people a lot. You know, what are you going to do about the homeless? There's many people who would just want us, and I get the emails, who just want us to be able to sweep the homeless off the streets and put them somewhere. They don't know where, they don't say where, but Mayor, just get them off the street, because I've got folks who are looking here. I got a tenant that's looking to relocate to this building. They see the homeless and it scares them away. Legally, we can't do that. First of all, it's not humane to just do that, but legally we can't do that. We got a couple of things coming down the pike. There's a Supreme Court decision. The arguments were heard just earlier this month. We expect the decision to come down in June or July. And basically that decision is it unconstitutional to arrest a homeless person when you don't have a shelter or someplace to put them in? The argument is that it violates the 8th Amendment of the Constitution. That's what's been governing our law enforcement thus far, because the precedent is that it does violate the Constitution. So I can't arrest somebody for trespass, indecent exposure I can, but for trespass or sleeping on a public place unless I'm sure that there is a shelter bed somewhere where we could put them. So we got to see what the Supreme Court is going to say about that. Also, just this last term, the state legislature imposed a law, 1365, House Bill 1365, which the governor signed, and I believe it goes into effect October 1, which makes it illegal to sleep on public places, regularly on public places. We're still trying to work through what that's going to look like, but in essence, what it means is that we still need to check to see if there are shelter beds available. So if there's someone who is sleeping 3 or 4 nights in front of a business person's business and they complain about it, yes, it's illegal under the House Bill 1365, but I can't arrest them under the Supreme Court law. I can't arrest them unless I'm sure that there's a shelter bed. Now, part of that same statute says that the county may, doesn't say shall, it says may provide a shelter. We're in conversations with the county to see if they're going to do that. If they do, if there are shelter beds available there, then our officers know if somebody is violating this House bill, this law, then they can arrest and they can send them out to the shelter, okay?
While you're talking about this, what about the county? Have you been in talks with them, and I'm assuming you have, because the clock's ticking.
Yes,
on that
absolutely.
legislation. What's the game plan today for that?
Well, we're kind of in the holding zone. I've heard the mayor of the county say that they are not going to build a shelter, all right? Now, I understand that there's still conversations going on between my staff, county staff, and even representatives of the private sector. So that decision has not been conclusively made. But we as a staff, we as a city, have to make a decision as to which way we're going to go. If the county does have a shelter, what do we do? If the county doesn't have a shelter, what are our protocols? We also are looking very closely at the Supreme Court decision to see what our flexibility is depending upon that. We're expecting that Supreme Court decision to come down. As I said, it could be as soon as July.
But do you feel like we're kicking the can down the road? Because either way, yeah, maybe we have to do something, but maybe we may have to do something. Seems like a kind of a bad way to plan.
Well, yes, it is a bad way to plan, and I wish we had more definitive information so I could plan more definitively. But we can only play with the cards that we are dealt. And so we are doing the best we can. But I'm not insensitive to the issue. And as I said, I'm hearing it from both sides. I'm hearing it from the business people, the restaurants, whatever, that just want us to do something. They can't define what something is. Do something about the homeless.
Well, I mean, we've had people that we've talked to, businesses who, you know, these are people who are mom and pop businesses.
Mm-hmm.
These are people who've poured their life savings to make a go of this.
Yes.
And we're hearing stories about people being accosted on the sidewalk, their customers, people defecating in front of their businesses. It's a laundry list of things that you hear, and you're saying to yourself, is this our city? And they're pointing the finger at the city to do something.
And I understand that. And they're pointing the finger at me to do something. The buck stops with me. I'm the mayor of the city. I get that. And that's one reason why I'm doing this interview, not because I am insensitive. I want to express from the bottom of my heart, yes, I hear you. I want to do something. I'm not making excuses. And we're trying to chip away at this problem as best we can, recognizing that we are not the only city in this country that is experiencing difficulties from the homeless situation. I recognize it. I'm chipping away at it, and I'm trying. We're making progress. And so when we talk to those businesses, I need to educate them on what the reality is and what it is we can and cannot do.
But some of these things cross the line where we're talking about crimes being committed. And you have to ask yourself, why are these people being allowed to get away with it? And that does make you wonder. I mean, do we need to have a bigger police presence out there?
And that's a very good point. Under my administration, we have increased the police presence, particularly downtown. All right, we've added 6 additional officers in what we call our entertainment district unit. We've added bicycle capabilities so they can get around. So we've had an increased number of arrests, both for felonies and for misdemeanors. And so we have more eyes, more feet on the street, as it were, and that was done in direct response to the increased number of homelessness. So those are steps that we are taking to address that. Does it happen overnight? Absolutely not. Another difficulty we have is, particularly from a misdemeanor standpoint, trespass is a misdemeanor. Sleeping on the sidewalk is a misdemeanor. If the police do not observe that directly themselves, all right, then under the existing law, we can't make the arrest. So if we don't see it, if the police don't see it themselves, that's another impediment to our ability to arrest them and get them off the street. Now, if there's an overt crime being committed, whether it's assault or battery or indecent exposure or something like that, yes, we can get those folks off the street quickly, readily, and we still want people to call and let us know when that type of behavior is going on. So
why not set up cameras? Why not have hourly patrols? It seems so easy to just do that.
And I'm glad we do have cameras there. We have a real-time crime center back at police headquarters, and we're using as much technology as we possibly can. And it may not be happening as quickly as people want, but believe me, we are making headway. It may be slower than what people want, and I get that. I know they're frustrated, but I'm well aware of the problem, and we are taking steps, conscious, affirmative steps to address this problem.
What's your relationship with the police department in terms of dealing with this? What kind of conversations are you having with Chief Adderley, and how do you actually solve that problem? Like I said, maybe just increasing the police patrols around these streets and sidewalks. The
conversations I have with the police department are very frank and candid. We got to get this under control. That's why we've added to the downtown unit. We have beefed up our road patrol and our bicycle patrol in direct response to me sitting them in a room and said, guys, we got to do something. I see Clematis Street as the city's main street. I see our waterfront as our living room, all right? When I was a kid growing up in Wichita, Kansas, child of a teenage mother, when we had company come over, Mama would tell me, get the house clean. We got company coming over. I feel the same way about Clematis Street, our waterfront, our parks. These are assets of our city. People go there. That reflects who we are as a city. And to me, it's very important to keep those places as clean, as pristine as possible. But there are limits to what I can do. I can't just bring a big vacuum cleaner in and sweep all the homeless out and put them somewhere. I don't have that power under the law.
When you talk about this, and you said this at the beginning, this is a complex issue. You talk about the addiction problem. You talk about the affordable housing issue. There's such a thing as chronic homeless. These are people who often prefer to be out there, to live their life on the streets and to basically do what they want to do. How do you juggle the chronic homeless problem with the issue of a mom and 3 kids who are looking for a place to live?
And again, that's why we have so many people on a homeless outreach team, because they need to go out there and understand why these people are there.
Who's the priority? Are we trying to get the people who want to get off the streets into housing? I mean, is that a priority compared to, say, dealing with the mental health issue and the addiction issue?
Well, obviously, to match, you can't just put a person who has mental health problems, just plop them into a room with a roof. It's not going to work, okay? So you need to try to match them to whatever resources are available, whether it's mental health counseling, whether it's substance abuse counseling, alcoholism. So we need to meet the homeless where they are and understand what their issues are. If it's a family, yes, I mean, that's priority. We don't want the kids there. And you'd be amazed at how many kids are homeless going to our schools. So that is certainly a priority. But we want to understand. I mean, to me, it's not a priority. It's like, how can we deal with everyone's needs at one time? Getting mental health counseling to those who need it, getting substance abuse counseling, and getting these families in housing as best we can. So we're just trying to address these as best we can whenever we're confronted with these issues.
It sounds like we really don't have answers, and which is interesting because we spend millions of dollars trying to address this very issue in cities across the country, but it sounds like nobody's got the solution.
No one, and I've been mayor 6 years going on 7, I've yet to find the silver bullet that cures homelessness. And anywhere I've gone in this country, and you could go down the list of the biggest cities throughout this country, no one has discovered the silver bullet yet.
Why?
I don't think the silver bullet exists. All right, many people say the way you cure homelessness is you build more houses, you build more affordable homes. But again, if you got someone who has mental health issues or someone who just, in their view, believes that it's better to live on the street than under a roof, just putting a roof over their heads doesn't solve the problem. If you got someone with substance abuse problems, putting them in a house way out west, away from where their drugs are, That's not going to help. They're going to stay there. They want to be where the drugs are until you get them substance abuse counseling. So I wish I could tell you why we haven't discovered the silver bullet. What I can tell you is that we haven't discovered the silver bullet. And it's not just West Palm Beach. It's not just Palm Beach County. This is a nationwide problem. And we can, listen, the scope of the problem, however, doesn't discourage me from continuing to work each and every day with the team that we're accumulating and assembling to address the issues and the implications of the problem.
And I think your very constituents are concerned that we don't want this to be a San Francisco or a New York.
Absolutely, absolutely. And hence, you don't see the encampments. You may see spots of encampments, whether it's a Curry Park, but you don't see it on our waterfront. There are other places because now the police do have the right to, if they're garbage grocery carts and baskets and stuff of property there, they can confiscate those, leave a note for whoever the person is, and you can come claim it. We don't want to have these tent encampments popping up throughout our city. And I think we've been successful in avoiding that. You may see a few here, a few there, and when we find out about them, we try to take them down very quickly. So no, and I've been to LA, I've been to San Francisco, I've been to Seattle. I've seen that. We're not there yet. I don't want us to get there, and I'm doing everything I can legally within my power to keep us from getting there.
All of this, does it leave you feeling frustrated, or do you feel optimistic that you're going to find a solution? How do you feel about the whole issue?
Well, listen, in this job as mayor of the city, I have no choice but to feel optimistic. We will get through this. We will get through this. And we may not have a perfect solution, but we continue to work each and every day to develop a solution to the particular issues with which we are confronted. And again, I hear the business people. I hear the mother who's walking her kid in a stroller. I hear the restaurant, the people who are dining at the restaurant outside and they get confronted. I know these things are happening and we're doing everything we can, which is why we increase police presence downtown to keep those things from happening. I wish I could predict that there is one day when there would be no homeless and there would be no hassles. I'm not that optimistic. But I'm optimistic in our ability to continue to address this successfully each and every day, and we'll continue to work at it.
Talk about accountability.
Yeah.
What's the goal here? Where can we be in a year? What kind of progress we can expect to be made? Do you want to go on the record?
Well, I'll go on the record and say that a year from now, we'll know more than we do today, because we will know what the Supreme Court decision is saying. We'll know what the impact of this House bill that was recently signed and how we are adapting to that and how we're dealing with that. And I'm happy to come back a year from now and talk to you about the progress that we've made. Will we have totally eradicated the homeless problem a year from now? I'm not going to say that. Will we have made progress in this battle a year from now? I can predict that we will.
You mentioned at the beginning that these are human beings, and each one of them is uniquely different with different problems as well. What's been the biggest challenge finding people to work with those homeless people? I just read an article talking about it's hard to find social workers or even cops who want to interact and deal with many of these people because it can be difficult.
Well, it can be difficult, and a lot of times we need to have the police escort our homeless team out there because people have mental health issues. Sometimes they get violent. So we've tried to work on routines where the police are accompanying. But you know what is interesting is when I talk to the members of this team, there's a certain passion there, there's a certain dedication there. They're committed to doing this job. Some of them have been homeless. People get into different jobs for different reasons. But I believe that the people who answer the call to be part of our homeless outreach team feel that it is a calling for them to do that. And we've been fortunate. We've been able to fill those slots.
So we're not seeing burnout like some other cities are seeing. Final thoughts. You did a great job articulating all this. I think that, it's a big issue.
Yeah.
What are your final thoughts? What can we as citizens do to make it better? Is there more private industry needed? More donations needed? Do we need to support these nonprofit groups? What are the things you would call on for the citizens of West Palm Beach to do to help?
And thank you. That's a very good question. Don't just complain to the mayor. Complain to the county. Complain to your state representatives, and complain to your federal representative. This is not a problem that's just a West Palm Beach problem. It's not a county problem. This is not just a Florida problem. But reach out. If you have connections with any of those folks, please reach out to them. And also, if you know of, and I'm sure we all do, private sector, nonprofits that are working with the homeless, support them. Support them. This is all hands on deck. I wish we could just all sit back in the comfort of our own living rooms and look at these problems happening and just wish them away. We can't. And so I would say to the citizens, if you see something, say something. Please don't hesitate to reach out to whether it's our police or to the city if you see situations, but also see if you get others involved with this fight. It's not just the city's fight. It's the state's fight and it's the country's fight. So help nonprofits that are working in this space. Also register your complaint and frustration to your political leaders at the state and federal levels because this is a problem that's going to require all hands on deck.